Something big is happening in Egypt. The Egyptian Refining Company is the Egyptian private sector's largest in-progress infrastructure mega-project. Decades of underinvestment in refining capacity have seen Egypt become a net importer of refined petroleum products. Of the 9 oil refineries in 5 primary locations across the country, only 3 have been built since 1973, with the nation's second-largest facility dating back to 1913. The Egyptian General Petroleum Corporation's Cairo Oil Refining Company, Cork facility, is the nation's largest, but it now accounts for just a fifth of the nation's refining capacity. All this has led to a situation where Egypt's demand for diesel and gasoline has significantly outstripped local production, even as the government is pushing forward with reductions to its fuel subsidy.
The main idea of ERC is to get low-value products that are being produced in Cork, Cairo Oil Refinery Company, and producing high-value distillates that the market currently needs. This project is a great example of the collaboration of the private sector and the government. This project will cut imports of Egyptian petroleum products by 40%.
ERC is strategically situated on 350,000 square meters in Mustorod, right in the heart of the consumption market, 10 kilometers northeast Cairo. Its location is adjacent to Cork, which has a daily refining capacity of 160,000 barrels. This will allow Cork to provide straight-run atmospheric residue as feedback for ERC to refine into higher-value petroleum products.
The project will be producing 4.75 million tons of products.
From Mustorod, ERC and Cork will be ideally situated to serve the needs of the Greater Cairo area and Upper Egypt, which between them account for 2/3 of the national fuel oil consumption and 50% of diesel demand. ERC has also signed a 25-year offtake agreement with the Egyptian General Petroleum Corporation, EGPC, to sell ERC's petroleum products at international prices, helping to plug Egypt's import gap. ERC is one of Africa's largest ever project finance deals. The landmark investment attracted the support of top Egyptian, Gulf, and international investors, global export credit agencies, and development finance institutions.
The project has been 12 years in the making. Qala Holding identified the idea early 2006, and by mid-late 2006 we signed an MOU with EGPC. In 2007 we signed an EPC contract with a contracting group including GS and Mitsui. In 2008 I almost finalized a debt package from commercial banks. Unfortunately, the global financial crisis had a very bad impact on the banks who were providing the debt, and they had to pull out. So we had to start anew.
The debt package finalized in 2010 included $2.35 billion in senior debt and $225 million of subordinated debt for a total of $2.6 billion.
On the equity side, we started the project with a group of high net worth investors from the Gulf, and we were successful in concluding a number of commitments from local institutions. However, as a result of the Egyptian revolution in 2011, many of those local institutions had to pull out, and we had an equity shortfall of around $450 million. Qala Holding had to step in big time and took a part of the shortage, and we secured $360 million from Gulf investors who were able to step up to the plate. Qala was able to put all this group together in order to be able to execute this magnificent project.
Qala and its partners reached financial close on ERC in June 2012, on the eve of Egypt's presidential election. And its contractors GS and Mitsui broke ground in 2014. Since then, ERC has weathered an oil price crash, Egypt's forex crisis, and rampant inflation.
The reason why it survived is the economics were rock solid, and we had a very deep organization both within Qala and within ERC. Within Qala in the early days, from 2006 till 2011, we had a very strong team that included a lot of people who have made huge sacrifices. The government of Egypt is standing very firmly behind this project, and we're seeing that support at every juncture along the project's life.
Another big challenge that faced ERC was the transportation of heavy equipment from Al Arabiya and Sokhna ports in Suez to the site in Mostorod. The transportation plan in 2013 and its first draft came out a year later. The chosen route required many technical preparations like removing sidewalks, removing road separators, disconnecting power cables, reinforcing ground in some locations, and even building 2 bridges. The 2 hydrocracker unit reactors were the most difficult to transport due to the heaviness and the large dimensions of the equipment, with one of them weighing about 1,250 tons and 44 meters in height. It took 100 days to transport this unit to site. Transporting the vacuum distillation unit column was also not an easy trip, since it was the tallest unit, measuring 61 meters in height. It was a huge endeavor for ERC and its partners to carry out this mega transportation plan with unparalleled success. To ensure sustainability and continuity of operation, ERC had agreed with the Egyptian Electricity Transmission Company to provide ERC refinery with 6 66 kilovolts power feeders through 3 different substations belonging to the local network. A 6-kilometer line was also constructed to connect the refinery to the nearest gas station in the local network. The gas supplied will be used as fuel and process feed. ERC applied the concept of responsible investing advocated by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
The project has been a good source of employment in general in Egypt. At peak, we were employing 18,000 people, of which 1,800 from the local community. There is also a great environmental impact. We take out of the environment 96,000 tons of sulfur every year and 450,000 tons of coke that are being produced and disposed of safely instead of CO2 emissions in the atmosphere.
ERC is utilizing an environment-friendly closed-circuit cooling system, which depends on a minimal supply of water and the reuse of this supply in the cooling process with the aid of cooling towers. ERC also has a contractual commitment towards the neighboring company, Cork, to perform some upgrades, including the installation of environmental monitoring equipment. ERC conducted the most comprehensive environmental social impact assessment ever commissioned in Egypt for an industrial project, the result of which ERC has been focusing on 4 main areas to develop the social community, economic development and entrepreneurship, education support program, special needs support program, vocational training and human capital development for youth.
Currently, the project is 98.3% complete from an overall point of view. From a construction point of view, we are now at 99.3%, so we're almost complete as far as construction. We have started the pre-commissioning activity, and soon we will be finished with that phase. Commissioning will start in earnest early January of next year.
2 boilers have been commissioned, as well as the cooling water system, the power supply system, the firefighting system, the raw water system, the natural gas system, and the flare system.
We will start commissioning over 2 phases. The first phase is what we call the white oil project, which includes commissioning the diesel hydrotreater. At a later point in time, probably around mid-February to early March, we will start with the full commissioning of the facility by taking high sulfur fuel oil and converting it into middle distillates. The project is expected to be in full commercial operation 2019. We we are very grateful that our backers, our fund debt providers, the equity shareholders have allowed us this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. ERC is a great example of the role of the private sector. Given time, resource, support from the government, the private sector can lead a lot of projects and can be one of the engines of growing this economy into the future.